So basically, we will be building our customized AI agents using Agentforce. So the agenda for today's webinar is basically I'm just quickly going to give you an intro to artificial intelligence, that is AI, and Agentforce. Then we are going to have uh, know about Agentforce terminology, like what are actions, what are topics. So uh, the key assets used to build Agentforce. Then we will basically mostly focus on Agentforce use case demo. So I'm going to showcase one demo that I have prepared related to an inventory API, okay, inventory use case. And then I'm going to talk about the new trends in AI, the MCP protocol, the UTCP, and A2A protocol. Okay. And then we are going to have a Q&A session. So you can at that time ask the questions if you have any. Okay. So a quick intro to AI. Uh, I mean, you must have been using AI in recent times, basically when you are using ChatGPT or Gemini, okay, or even when you're using, Siri, Apple Siri or Google. So that time also you are leveraging or making use of AI. So AI is basically the simulation of intelligence process by computer systems. Okay. So AI, we can say it is a kind of a field of study that encompasses different approaches and techniques like machine learning or deep learning and natural language processing to give you, uh, answers from their learning. Okay. So on a broader, on a higher perspective, what happens is basically we train a model, okay, with different inputs, and then we ask questions. So it basically understands our context and then uh, gives us the response. Okay, so uh, we can even kind of uh, give like different types of AI are there. Okay, like there are AI based on capability, so we can differentiate uh, AI based on their capabilities. Like there is narrow AI. Okay, so narrow AI is basically when we are using Alexa, Siri. Okay, this comes under narrow AI. Then general AI. So when you are using ChatGPT, okay, that comes under general AI and then super AI. Okay, so that again there are different ways to uh, tell different types of AI. Like there are different AIs based on functionalities like reactive machines, limit memory, theory of minds, and self-aware AI. Okay, but we are not going to deep dive into that segment. We are going to focus today on Agentforce. Okay, so there again. Before we start with Agentforce, okay, let's go to something like how Agentforce uh, today become what it is. Okay, so Agentforce, I mean Salesforce doesn't started with its AI journey with Agentforce. Okay, first there were we had chatbots. Okay, so from chatbots, basically it had fixed tools and repetitive tasks. Okay, from there, Salesforce evolved into co-pilots. So co-pilots were basically smart, tailored assistants according to our needs. Okay, from there, co-pilots evolved into agents. So what we have today. Okay, so these what are agents? These are basically autonomous, intelligent, proactive, and trusted. And most importantly, these where systems are increasingly capable of performing tasks on their own. Okay, so using agents, they can perform tasks on their own. We just don't need to tell them. Okay, which was earlier the case with chatbots and co-pilots. So these agents are revolutionizing industries and working alongside humans to to boost productivity. So again, you can uh, distinguish agents using actions and topics. So these are the topics under agents. Like we have functional areas which are known as topics. Then whatever small function that we want to achieve, it is achieved using an action. So we will see these terms under the agent force. Okay. And again, these agents are grounded in enterprise data. Okay. And these are trained using guardrails, and these are secured by the Einstein trust layer. So whatever data is in your agent, is in your Salesforce, it is protected by Einstein trust layer. So you can have a guarantee that it will not be exposed to the outside world. Okay. And again, we create agents. There will be agents for specific actions. Okay. There could be an agent for enterprise, for inventory. There could be an agent for servicing. Okay. Service agent. There could be an agent for handling business data. So this is how we organize our agents for specific capabilities. Okay. So what are the attributes that makes the agent? Okay. So these are kind of on a high level 5 attributes of an agent. Okay. When we create an agent, we have to define these 5 attributes. Okay. For example, the role. Okay. So role, we define a role for an agent, like what should they do. Okay. So for example, if you are providing some service. Okay. In that case, you will create a service agent. Okay. If you are having some kind of sales, then you want to create a sales agent. Okay. So you have to define the role. Okay. Which will be in use. Okay. uh, then again, we have data, what knowledge they can access. So particular agent should have access to the data it should it should work under. Okay. For example, if you are having a sales agent, it should access only the sales data, not the other data. Okay. Not the order data or the inventory data. Okay. For that, we have another agent. So that's where we define the what data it can access. Okay. Then we have actions. Okay. So actions are basically nothing but predefined tasks that agent can execute. Okay. It could be like get sales information, or get customer data. So these are kind of individual predefined tasks. Okay. It will perform, and again, it will perform based on some trigger. Okay. Or our instruction, like can you get me the particular customer data. Okay. Then it will use the get customer data action. So that's how you define particular actions. Okay. Then we have guardrails. So guardrails is basically what actions they should not do. For example, we will define I mean, giving just an example, like if you are saying, if you're creating an agent, you have to define a guardrail like do not reveal your uh, sensitive information. Okay. Or PII information, that is personally identifiable information, or some sensitive, or like for example, credit card data. So if you are asking for get customer data, it should not reveal that customer's credit card information or some personal information. So that's where you define your guardrails. Okay. It can be natural instruction to the agent that you should not do this and do not reveal this information, etc. Okay. So that's where you need to be very careful. And then channel. So where basically they are going to do the work. For example, uh, it could be your website. Okay. Channel could be your website, your CRM, your mobile app, or Slack. Even when we are creating an agent, you can assign that agent to the Slack, etc. Okay. Next, when we have created agents, now we want to understand like how they are going to understand and take action. We are going to see this basically flow of how agents are taking action in the demo as well. For now, I'm just showing you in a graphical sense. Okay. So what will happen? So there will be one trigger. Okay. Like it could be in a conversation starting from Slack. Okay. You could be entering your prompt in a Slack or in a chat. Okay. or it could be in the CRM itself, okay, or web, okay. So from there we are having just the initial trigger, okay. It could be from some automation as well. Then basically from there we are passing the context to the LLM, okay. So in all this we will have an underlying LLM, okay. And then it may ask to clarify the intent, okay. So if you entered, can you fetch me the customer details, so it it needs to understand like what is the intent, like what you are trying to fetch. Are you trying to fetch the customer data for which customer? uh, can you give me the customer ID? Because you are asking for a your intent is not clear, then it will ask to clarify, to understand the intent. And then after it is understand your requirements, it will select the topic and the action it needs to perform, okay. So it will first select the topic, okay, and then select the chain of actions, what actions are required to perform what you asked, okay. Then it will gather the input. Basically it could call the Salesforce objects to gather the data to execute your to execute the action, or it could call your backend API to get the data and then execute your require ask, and then it will basically send you that response and its task is completed, okay. So that's how it's kind of agents uh, take the journey and complete your action, okay. Now let's see the demo, like how basically this Agentforce, I mean our use case related to Agentforce. So in this use case, we are making use of inventory API. Okay. So there is a one inventory API. I will give you the details of that inventory API in a bit. Okay. Okay. So we can come back to my screen. Okay. So from where do we start? Okay, like I'll just show you before my use case, like how you can start with your Agentforce journey. Okay. So first you have to do a Salesforce edition, Agentforce edition sign up. So you can just write this in the Google and will basically launch you to this page. So here you can just sign up to your, Agentforce account, trial account, and where this you get the capability of Agentforce within that account, trial account. Okay. When you signed up, okay, you land on the home page. Then you can what basically you have to go to setup in order to enable the Einstein. Okay, for the Agentforce capability, you have to enable this top. Okay. So search for Einstein in the setup and then can go to setup. Okay. So you have to turn on by default it is off. Then you have to turn it on, and then you have to search for the Agentforce. Okay, in the Agentforce agents, you have to turn the Agentforce on. Okay, you have to toggle this on, and then there is a default Agentforce agent as well. If you want to enable it, or you want, you can enable it, and then basically this default agent comes with it with by default with the Salesforce trial account. So let me show you that what this default Agentforce capability is. Okay, so you can see that its description is an AI assistant for in-org business tasks. So whatever task you want to perform within this Salesforce account, okay, uh, without any additional capability according to your customized needs, without your customized needs, you can do so here. But if you want to have customized agents, customized actions, then you need to create a new agent. Okay, so just like I have one, but I will explain you in a bit. Okay, so you can just open it in Builder, this default agent, and just activate it. By default it is deactivated. So you can see that under this we have an activate. Okay, so I'll just maximize this a little bit. Okay, so there is a general CRM, a single record summary topics. Okay, So if you want to see what this topic is basically doing, you can see the instructions. Instructions are there, like always try to ask clarifying questions when trying to resolve the record. Okay, give me a quick summary of the record. There is an example. Okay, and it's what is its job? Your job is to provide a rich summary of a Salesforce CRM record. Okay, and again there are two topics for this particular default agent. I think we are, yeah, let me open this one. Yeah, okay, I think we are inside this one, open in builder. So if I ask, like, can you summarize me? Let me maximize more a little bit. Can you summarize me? So I'm writing the prompt in a natural language. Okay, summarize me any random contact record. So even I'm just not providing any particular reference to any particular contact. I'm just uh, asking in a general way, and it will be able to provide me, okay, the summary of that random record it picked. Okay, from there you can see how an agent journey is. Like, it is first reasoning. So to understand which topic it needs to select, okay, it identifies that I am asking to summarize. Okay, then it selects single record summary action. Okay, uh, it selects the query record action, then it selects the summarize record. So chain of actions it used to to give us the summary. Okay, you can see that the summary is here. Okay, so that is about the default agent. Okay, and its capability. So it has a lot of actions you can see inside this, that it can do identify object by name. If I'm asking which which uh, record does this a particular record belongs to, it will be able to uh, give me the object to which it belongs. Okay, through these actions. Okay, so if we remove all of these actions, it will not be able to perform our ask. Okay, so these actions are responsible for these this output. Okay, okay, now I'm going to show you the demo, okay, about my use case. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to show you that I have an inventory API. Okay, so you can see this inventory API deployed in my Anypoint platform account. Okay, let me log in into that. Okay, so you can see that there is a inventory API. Okay, so under this, what endpoints are available here? You can see from here. Okay, from this OS. So this is a Millennium's inventory API. So this API is for managing products and orders in the inventory system. So what we are doing with this API, this is for managing our products inventory and if and the orders. Okay, so it is a fully Agentforce compiled. Okay, so I have built this in such a way, like for example, you can see that accept DC agent topics, okay, and instructions. So in order to build this, what you have to do is basically you can just create an Anypoint platform account. Then you need to go to VS Code. Okay, install this MuleSoft ACB extension. Okay, so from here you will be able to get to this Anypoint code builder and just click on design an API. From here you can build your API specification, and you have to enable this in order to make this API agent consumable, Agentforce agent consumable, okay, by Salesforce. So just provide your project name, and this will be a OS 3.0 specification language, and create project. Okay, so this will generate this kind of project, and then you have to add your endpoints. Okay, for example, I have a slash products endpoint which has a get function. Okay, and the response is there, then a post. So what does this get? It lists all the products from the inventory. What does this post product do? Adds a new product in the inventory. Similarly, I have retrieve product details, update the product in the inventory, okay, through the put method. So all these endpoints are there. Then the status, what is the product availability in my inventory, is it in stock or out of stock. So it will give all these details using this API. Okay. I have an implementation of this API in my Anypoint Studio. So there is a step that you have to do in order to be enable this. So I'll just go through all these steps. Okay. So once you build this API, okay, you have to follow this governance rule set. Okay. So why this rule set is necessary? Because if you don't follow this rule set, this API will not be available in Salesforce. Okay, once you in the Salesforce API catalog. Okay, so by following this rule set and then publishing it to Exchange. Okay, this way we will be our API views of API will be visible to the Salesforce API catalog. Okay, so first step, you have designed the API. You will publish to Exchange by going to publish to Exchange. Okay, use of so just publish it to Exchange, and before that, you just run it with your governance rule set. Okay, so like for example, rule set contains like you have to provide a response only particular response code. Okay, and it should have this this required piece of code so that which which makes your API specification that it is agent enabled. Okay, and with topics details, for example, this details you must have seen in the Salesforce instructions, right? When I was showing you this one, topics configuration. So these instructions will come here from the API specification. Okay, now publish this to Exchange and then implement this in your Anypoint Studio or Anypoint Code Builder. Then so you can see that I have implemented this API, all the endpoints. So all the endpoints are here. Okay. So this is the inventory API. And the last step, the second last step is to deploy this API to your Anypoint Studio, Anypoint platform. So I have deployed this inventory API. You can see the endpoint is generated. So you can see that if I try to hit this with one of the requests, okay. So you can see that I am asking it for the products list. Okay, the products endpoint. So I am doing a get. So it gives me the list of the products in the inventory. So there is a keyboard, there is a mouse, okay, wireless mouse in the inventory. Okay, and then there is another endpoint like what is the particular total quantity. Okay, let me put this endpoint. So I'm trying to fetch the first product ID 1 quantity, okay, in the inventory. So it says the total count for the product ID 1, that is you can say the keyboard, wireless keyboard in inventory is 529 items remains. Okay, so this is how we are using through API. Now to use it in LLM, okay, to use it through agent, what you have to do, just you have published it to Anypoint Studio, you have to go to API manager, okay, and also enable it through API manager. Okay, just create an API and specify this one. Okay, the specification ID, API ID in your implementation. Okay, in the auto discovery part. Okay, so these are the required things, and also you have to, after deploying, you have to provide your implementation URI in the implementation URI and consumer endpoint. So from here, the Salesforce Agentforce will understand like which endpoint they need to call. Okay. Next task is to like sync. Basically, how your Salesforce account will know this API, okay, that is there. So you have to sync, you have to uh, get, you have to make this API available in your API catalog. So how would you do that? So for that, you have to basically configure the Salesforce credentials in your Anypoint platform account and vice versa. Okay, so that both will be in sync. So for that, you have to go to access management, and in Salesforce, you have to go to Anypoint platform setup. Okay, so you can see here I will provide my sales anypoint credentials here in the connection info. Okay, so from here you go to in the anypoint platform, you will go to Salesforce. Okay, from here you will configure your at Salesforce. So you provide your org tenant key, just copy it from here. Okay, so you will have that information here. I have already configured, so that's why you can see that my org ID, my account is available in here. Okay, so now when you will do this step, your API from any point platform account will be visible in the API catalog. You can see that Millennium Inventory API is now available in our API catalog. Okay, so now I can make use of this API capability in my through my agents. Okay, under this API, you can see a lot of actions are available. So each endpoint. So you can see these endpoints, get products, delete products, all these endpoints are visible as invocable actions. So these are separate actions. As I mentioned, as I was explaining in the theory part, when I was explaining that this list product is a separate action. This add a new product to the inventory is a separate action. So there are 10 actions similarly available to our uh, through our inventory API. Okay, you can see that order ID, get action, these actions are available. Okay, so you can see that description, create a new order, update product quantity, retrieve current product quantity. Okay, so now this API is available. Now how can I make use of this? Okay, in our Agentforce. Okay, before that, let me just show one more thing. If I go to Exchange, so when I publish this this API specification to Exchange, so you can see that in the Exchange, you can see that this is conformant with the Salesforce API topic and action enablement. So you have to be API conformant. Otherwise, if you see another API, it is not visible in that API catalog because it is not conformant. Not, you can see that it is not validated. So that's what it has to be conformant in order to be visible in API catalog in Salesforce. Okay. Now we can make use of that. Okay, so how you create your customized agent? Okay, so you have that capability inventory API. Now you want to enable the inventory capability in your agent. So what you have to do, you have to go to Agentforce agents. You will create a new agent. Okay, just click on new agent and Agentforce setup. So you are setting your agent. Okay, you see we have all these topics available. We can remove that. Okay, because we wanted to have our own customized agent. Remove from agent. Okay, now new add from asset library. So when you added that inventory API. Okay, when you added that inventory API, okay, in the API catalog, those actions are available in the asset library now as agent actions. Okay, you can see that thing, that is, you can see that this topic Millennium Inventory API is now available. So I will add this, finish this, and under this, those 10 actions are available. Okay, so if I click this, its configuration you will be able to see comes from that API specification that it is about managing inventory products. So all this information by automatically got filled. Okay, you can add another or more instructions like only expose non-sensitive info. So those instructions I was talking about, like guardrails. Okay, these are guardrails and instructions. Okay, you can add more instructions to be for your agents to be more understanding. Okay, then this topic, if I come to this topic section, you can see that update product quantity, whatever those endpoints we created, those are available as actions now. Okay, now this we have added, and we need to activate this in order to use our customized AI agent. Okay, So I have already created one. I will not use this, make use of this one. Okay. So I will go to my Agentforce employee agent. Instead, it should be inventory agent. Okay. Agentforce inventory agent. So you can see the description. This agent manages orders and its role. You have to define a role that, okay, you are an agent for digital inventory and order management agent. So these two capabilities I provided to our agent through the API, and it can retrieve, update, delete, and product information and order information through inventory API in a Salesforce compliant way. Okay. So I will open this in Builder. Yeah. So you can see it is already here. I need to activate it. It is already activated. Okay. Now let's see this in action. Okay. I was indicating like how we need to in a normal scenario how we need to in order to fetch the quantity we need to call this API, okay, through either Postman or some any other source, okay. But what we want, what if there is a business user, right, and he wants to fetch this much information through, or maybe an AI wants to fetch this information. So you cannot, the AI cannot directly, even if you provide this endpoint, will be able to fetch this much information, okay, or you will need to provide all this information on how your API needs to call this. But through the agent capability, you just need to provide the natural language instruction, basically how you interact with a human, you will interact with this API through this agent capability, okay. So for example, I have asked like, can you fetch me the inventory quantity for the product ID P123? I have not called an API. It will automatically call the understand, like I am asking for the quantity. Okay. So it will understand through the LLM that it needs to call the quantity endpoint. Okay. And provide the product ID P123. So this is what I have provided, and it will automatically understand and call the exact endpoint it needs to fetch this information, okay. So you can see that the agent understood that this is the topic inventory API it needs to go to, then what action it needs to go to that you can see the action is let me see, basically the this particular action, the get quantity, okay, action, it needs to go and fetch the response. So it fetched the response that 319, okay, the total quantity for the product with ID P123 is in inventory is 319. So you can see that whatever information was through we were getting through the API, we are now getting it through the agent, okay. So we don't need to use the Postman or anything. The agent is now capable enough. So as a business user, even as a business user, you can all everyone can get that information, okay. So let me show you more details, like another action. For example, can you tell me if product with product ID one is in stock or not, is in stock or not. So I forgot to ask like ID, but still it says like it is in stock, okay. So it called the status endpoint, okay, uh, and understood basically the exact endpoint it needed to call through this much information, okay. Okay, so these are the capability I'm able to show you. Like for example, let me pass this information. Can you fetch me the product info for the product ID P123 maybe, okay. Yeah, here you can see that it is able to fetch that particular information with that particular product ID, okay. So that's how, you know, agents and agent capabilities enabling us to do this, okay. Even you can add a product. Can you add a product for me, or can you delete a product from a stock? Can you delete the product with product ID product product ID 1 in inventory. So you can see that it even performed that action for me. Product with ID 1 has been successfully deleted from the inventory. Okay, so that's certain actions we have enabled, customize our agent, okay, to perform all these actions which we were unable to do so without the capability of our API and the customization we did. Okay, so now coming back, okay, to one more topic. Okay, so we have covered this demo part. Okay, let me go to the, we maximize this present. Okay, so we have covered this demo. Okay, now I will talk about the new trends in the AI. Okay, so it is like ever evolving. Okay, so the latest trends that are going is, for example, MCP. So that is Model Context Protocol. Okay, so what is MCP? It is basically an open source standard that is enabling AI applications to connect to external systems. So, for example, what we did through AI, we connected our AI application to the external system. So that was inventory API. Okay, I'm not sure like what protocol Agentforce is using, but if we want to connect our application. If you have built an AI application and wants to connect to an external system, you can make use of this MCP protocol. Okay. Okay, then there is UTCP. Okay, so it is again more newer than than MCP. So it is enabling it is a kind of transfer universal connection protocol for adding these external systems to our to connect to our AI. Okay, I will explain you the difference between MCP and UTCP. Then A2A, agent to agent communication protocol. So it is again recently last year I think released by Google. Okay, so it enables different agents to connect to the other agents. For example, we build inventory agent, right? We can build a sales agent, so that sales agent can interact with this inventory agent using A2A, using agent to agent, okay, protocol. So let's talk about the differences between MCP versus UTCP. Okay, so in case of model context protocol, you have to have an agent. Okay, it could be your application, AI application like Cloudy, okay, or some other. Even you can create your own MCP client application. Then there is MCP server. Okay, from where you configure your tools. Okay, so this API information goes into your MCP server. Okay, so when you send the request, it goes to MCP server. Through MCP server, it makes use of AI to understand which API it needs to call. Okay, which endpoint it needs to call. So that's what MCP is. Comparing it to with UTCP, there is no middleman. Okay, I mean there is no middleman. Okay, it here we configure our API information. Okay, how we need to call this tools. So basically these endpoints which we just created are known as tools. Okay, inside this understanding. Okay, so in this only we will inside agent only we will configure this information. Okay, so you can see the difference that in MCP a kind of middleman comes in, which is an MCP server. In UTCP it is manual. You have to describe how to call your basically tools inside your agent. Okay, so agent to tool directly. Okay, but here agent calls MCP server, then MCP server calls the tool. So it is, I will say it is very faster. Okay, it is more newer. Okay, and does not require more additional proxy. Okay, does not require additional servers, and it is requires minimal maintenance. Okay, here you will need to maintain both the things, but here you will just need to maintain minimal thing. Okay, whereas if I talk about A2A protocol, it focuses on agent collaboration, different agents interacting with each other. So in a real world scenario, how this picture would look like, there are different tens of or hundreds of agents interacting with each other to fetch, to get the information what you asked. Okay, if you ask sales agent some information, so sales agent could get some information and which but requires more information, so it can call the other inventory agent or the order agent in order to fetch the complete information and present it to the user. Okay, so in this A2A protocol, there would be basically we can say that it contains two important components: A2A client, okay, or A2A server. So a remote agent. Again, this will not be a, I can say, a server, but it will be a remote agent. So the client agent can call the remote agent. Okay, so you can see the from the definition. Okay, so this remote agent will expose an HTTP endpoint that will be called by the client agent. Okay. Again, though both those are agents and interacting with each other using the A2A protocol. Okay. So let's move to Q&A. We can take up the questions now.
Hi, thank you. This was a very interesting presentation. I have a question about the customer-facing experience. So let's say that I'm your customer and I've used this AI agent. How's my experience going to look different? What can I do with this that I couldn't do before?
Okay, so I mean, if you're talking about like customized agent, okay, just from looking from the customized agent perspective, if you have built this custom AI agent, okay. So earlier, if you needed to, let's just say, interact with any other external system, maybe Snowflake, okay, maybe some database, okay. Let's say Oracle database, okay. So in that case, you could not do so without going over to that particular external system, okay. Maybe you needed a different client, let's say a database tool, okay, in order to fetch that Oracle database information, right? Or another tool that could call the Snowflake database and fetch that information. But now with this capability, with creating customized agents for Snowflake, maybe customized agents for Oracle database, you can do so within the comfort of your understanding, familiarity of your Salesforce UI only. You will just need to ask that question or ask that prompt, enter that prompt in your Salesforce UI itself, and it will fetch the information anywhere from a Snowflake or Oracle database.
Okay. So I'm able to access data across my enterprise systems and do it directly from the prompt. Okay. What else can I do? Is the search functionality? So therefore, naturally, the search functionality will be better, I'm assuming, because you're able to search across different enterprise systems. Anything else that I'm able to do with this? Like if you had mentioned an agent-to-agent communication, so what other kinds of agents could I have to kind of collaborate with this one?
Okay, so for example, I could tell you one use case, a good use case. Okay, so you have the ServiceNow, right? ServiceNow platform, external system. Okay, let's say you are using ServiceNow to handle your escalations or tickets, right? So let's say you created a ticket in some Salesforce object, okay, maybe cases, and now you want that Salesforce cases object, case information to be populated in ServiceNow, so that it could have a Salesforce, it could have a ServiceNow journey separated there, okay, right? So that's where you can make use of this agent to auto populate, okay, and even track this information, this case information in the that ServiceNow system, okay. So that's one good use case example. And then another could be if you have this Jira, right? So maybe you are managing your Jira or ticket stories through Jira, right? But you want that information to be visible in Salesforce as well. okay, for particular users or for concerned users, then you can do so by creating a Jira agent. Okay, so that Jira agent will interact on your behalf on from Salesforce to Jira.
Got
You
it.
will not need to go to Jira itself. Okay.
So time savings.
Yes, exactly. A lot of things we can do using these automations. Okay, I would say AI automations.
Thank you very much.
Millennium. IT for people. People for IT.